We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. We are going to have a great episode. Start us off, Trevor.
Well, I was going to share the story of how my partnership with you has evolved to like what we're doing now for reference. I can talk about Mike, and we've talked about this a little bit. But how I met you was I owned some rental properties already. I was trying to figure out how to get into commercial, buy more properties. So I was walking into banks, and I would set the meeting when I was like 22, 23. I would come with all my questions prepared. How do I get a commercial loan? How do I get the debt? This is my understanding of how this math works. I think I need this net worth. I'm planning on getting my money here. How do I do all this? I need to know these things. And then usually they'd just laugh and kick me out.
This is your scientific brain.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the next steps. I knew they had the money, and I needed the money from them.
You're doing all the things you were trying to tell Jaron he needs to prepare to do, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I was really going to help him until Mike ruined it. But anyway, so I was doing this, right? And I could get the meeting because I had read all the books, so I understood the lingo on the front end.
Did you take him a deal, or did you just walk in and go, how do I borrow money to buy
No, I'd bring like a sample deal. I'd be like, if I wanted to buy this, here's what I think I need to do. How do I get the money from you? What other pieces do I need to make this happen? Most of them would be like, whatever. And then I would do the same thing with brokers, right? And then they'd be pissed that they showed up because I looked like I was 12. And they're like, this kid's not going to buy a deal. Anyway, I go in and I do that enough times, and I find someone who's like, spends the time, answers my questions. And he's like, you should meet Gabe. He's this dude in Salem who buys deals.
Was that Commercial Lending Group?
Yeah, Michael
Cummings. How did you find Michael? What led you to Michael?
I was in that location searching commercial lenders near me.
Up?
Just literally, I didn't know anyone in the space, so I was Googling, and then I would meet with as many as possible. So I went and did that, met him. Then he's like, "You should go down there." He just CC'd us on an email, and then you were like, "Sure, let's do it. Meet me here this day, this time." So I go down to Salem, and I show you, like, do the same thing with you that I was doing with others. Like, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I would like to do. Here's what I don't know. And then you gave me all these tips of like, why are you going on apartments.com? Just call escrow, do this, blah, blah, blah. Asked you like 300 questions.
To find deals? Or
yeah, I was trying to find a deal. So I was just asking you how. And then you gave me the tips, and I was like, I just believed you knew the answer. And that was enough reason for me. I didn't need to think why it worked. I was like, you own a bunch of deals, and you told me to do this, so I will do that. So I went and did that, bought a 16 unit, and then you had another deal listed, and I called you on it, or your brokerage did, and your number was on it. I was like, hey, man, I bought this deal. Thanks for your advice 6 months ago or 3 months ago or whatever it was. And then you said, oh, we should meet again. And then you're like, you should come to SMI. So I came to SMI, and then we were sitting in the room together.
You went out and bought more than 16 doors, I think.
Yeah, before that, I had been buying like smallplex and partnering with people and things. So I
remember we sat down. I said, we should have coffee again. We sat down, and you're like, all right, it's been 6 months, and I went out, and now I had like 30 doors or something.
I got around 30.
And
Did you see Gabe during this entire process as someone that you were as a future partner that you wanted to partner with?
No, not at all. So he was generous with his time, and you sent me an email of like, hey, you're trying to look for one answer, and there's not one answer to this. You got to think of all these different ways. And that was impactful enough to me at that time because I looked up to Gabe. And I was like, this guy's done what I'm trying to do. And he took an interest in it and gave me some advice and then told me I could do it, was like the big thing. I was like, oh, if he told me I could do it,
build some confidence into you.
Yeah. So I was like, cool. So I came to the SMI, right? And my whole goal was throughout all that time is how much free stuff could I do for people? So I started underwriting some of your guys' deals, and like you would just send me shit to take a look at. I'd be like, okay, here's my thoughts. I didn't really know. I didn't own apartments really, but I could do math well enough and concisely enough where it's like, this is what I think and why. So I think you found some value in that, or saw future value potentially. And then in like the first boom meeting we were in, they had a deal. Someone had a deal, and they're like, does anyone want to buy this deal? And you're like, I'll buy it. And then you just asked the room, does anyone want to buy this with me? And I was sitting in there. I was like, why is no one buying this? And I was like, I guess I'll do it. And that was the first deal we did together. So I'd already done some stuff with you, got to know you a little bit, and I was trying to do whatever I could to add value, even though it wasn't a ton at that time. And then got to know you a little bit on that deal. So like for you, there was no reason for you to give me half that deal at that time, like, or half our partner. Like, for you to structure a partnership with someone like that where it's 50-50 probably doesn't make a lot of sense for someone in your shoes at that point. But you did for whatever reason.
I saw something in you. This is my superpower, is recognizing genius, and I knew you would be my partner. I probably knew it from the first time we ever met.
Yeah, and that's where I look at it as partnerships are formed in two ways. They're either circumstantial, and you've got circumstantial partnerships, opportunistic, we're forming a partnership based on these circumstances or this opportunity. Then there's partnerships that are sustainable, created through a vision, created through an evolution of a relationship before it becomes a partnership. And the circumstantial ones can be amazing. They typically have a higher failure rate. The partnerships that are formed after an evolution of a relationship that then evolves into a bigger and deeper financial business relationship, those are the ones that are special, or that's what I've witnessed.
I like what you're saying there. And interestingly enough, I think most partnerships kind of start as almost as circumstantial. Like, you sit down and you'll say, like, we're going to do deals together the rest of our life, but then you do one deal and it doesn't really go anywhere.
And the reason why is because in a circumstantial partnership, no one's typically bringing significantly more value. There's no mentorship piece, right? You're all coming with a rudimentary level of skills, and circumstantially, you're going to work together to create value. When something's evolved over a period of time, you're seeing how your skills line up with my skills, and you're seeing how there's the 1 + 1 creates 4 instead of 1 + 1 creating 2.5.
And every partnership seems to almost have kind of an expiration date on it. The partnerships that I've seen that are really successful are the ones that stayed together for many years. And for me and my partnerships, I've had some really, I would say, mostly amazing partnerships where I learned a lot. I got to buy stuff I wouldn't have otherwise been able to buy. But somewhere along the way, we sort of lose momentum. Like, I have partners that are older and now they don't want to be as aggressive, or I want to go into one asset type, they don't want to go into that asset type, or whatever the case may be. And so along the way, you get maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 deals going, and then it just sort of fizzles out at some point. And so what I'm trying to do now is I want to build partnerships that last decades. And I think for me, those partnerships, a lot of it is like what you're talking about, that the skill sets really have to work together, so that each person brings something really important to the table that's very different from each other. The other thing is you really just have to like each other.
Yeah.
You have to like spending a lot of time together, and you have to be able to problem solve together. You want to be partnered with somebody that you can celebrate with, that you can cry with. I mean, this is like a marriage to me.
You're talking more like operational partners, not capital operator partners, right?
Yeah, people that you're actually running the day-to-day business with, not necessarily partners that you just bring capital, whatever.
Exactly.
That's different.
You just buy an asset.
Yeah, you come into one deal, maybe you don't come into the next deal. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the core partnership that you're actually running the business,
actively being junkies, yes.
So why our partnership ended up working is because we had the same like mission and vision of it. Came down to we want to own all of the real estate.
And it was proven over a period of time that you could both get behind and have trust and faith in.
Sure, and we could probably, for you, it was like a test run. For me, can I write these checks and do these things? Because for you, like, you're like, I'll write a $50,000 check, no problem. For me at 22, I'm like, holy shit, this is all the money I have, but I'm all in on it. So you're probably just testing it too at that point to see if I'm calling you like, hey, I'm out.
I can't even get my 50% to the table.
I tested you the way Paul tested me. He watched me go through when I was losing. The best thing that ever came out of me losing all the money flipping houses was I'd go cry on his shoulder, and he'd laugh at me, and he thought it was funny because to him, losing a couple $1 million wasn't as catastrophic as it was to me. I didn't have the money, so it was a hard thing for me to go through. But he watched me go through it, and when I got to the finish line and I got out with no bankruptcy, no foreclosure, no lost relationships, he called me up one day and said, we're going to be partners. He didn't have any other partners. And he was very careful. He was a lone wolf. He says, we're going to go do deals. Same thing you did. You came to me, and I said, look, I've sat down, and I am generous with my time. I spend time with everybody and tell them what to do. But I sat down with you, and maybe out of 100 people or 1,000 people, you called me up 6 months later, and you're like, all right, I went and did it. You actually did something. You came up with something even better than what I told you to do. And you said, okay, I bought 30 doors. What do I do next? It's like, who in their early 20s do you sit down with and spend a couple hours and they call you 6 months later and say, I went and bought 30 doors, right? So to me, I go, okay, I mean, you didn't have to do anything else. Just that alone, I'm like, that guy's going to be my partner. I mean, you already passed the test. Then we start buying deals together, and we got to write checks, and you can write the checks. As long as you can write the checks and we can go buy more deals, you know how to underwrite, you provide value to the partnership. Like, of course we're going to be
But stop doing that, and you're out.
You're out. Yeah. You can't write a check, you're out.
So Paul, up until that point, until you proved yourself, he was your client and a mentor and a lone wolf.
I actually never asked him to be my partner. Actually, like,
so he was looking.
He was my client who became obviously my friend, because that's how it works. And then we became, through that, you know, doing a lot of deals together, we became very close friends. And in that process, when I got into real estate, I thought, you know, the most valuable thing I have is not necessarily making big commissions. It's being around these rich people all the time that buy real estate. I can learn from them. The education was more important to me. And so, you know, and it still is to this day. My relationship is far more important than the money.
Absolutely. The conversations you have with people that have that level of experience in life are significantly greater than the majority of conversations you pay to get into.
You just closed a deal with Matt Miller. I took him out. We took him out. Paul and I had lunch with him yesterday.
Okay.
And Paul, afterwards, he told me, he said, call Matt and apologize for how much I talked during lunch. And I said, Paul, I am going to call Matt, but I'm not going to apologize. What I am going to do is I'm going to send him an invoice for $50,000. I'm going to tell him that's what he owes us for lunch, because he's going to make millions off of the things that you just taught him at that lunch. To me, the relationship is so much more valuable on what I get. Plus, you know, I just love these guys. I love Trevor. I love Paul. They're my partners, right? And so for him to take me under his wing, he didn't have to do a deal with me and find out circumstantially if I was going to be a good partner. He watched me go through a nightmare.
He witnessed your circumstances.
Scenario, and he said, I can be partners with that guy.
Yeah. Track record.
Yeah.
And that's exactly. So you can have a stronger partnership when you have a track record, because that magnet, it's a bigger magnet to get a bigger partnership.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too how our new partnerships has formed over time too, like how Mark came into our life and Dane and different things, who are all had the same goal yet again. So now you can just multiply what you're doing.
And we wanted to spread our wings and go into different types of different asset types. We wanted to develop. We wanted to do some things that we didn't have the skill to do. So rather than go learn how to do it, we just went and grabbed somebody that did know how.
It was interesting because I had met Mark probably 2 years prior to us partnering on anything, and he was like, we should do some deals together. And I was like, okay, like, and then that was it kind of thing. And you were like, because you had it kind of ingrained in my mind, like, don't do new construction. Then Mark's like, we do new construction. I was like, Gabe taught me a lesson, like, we're not gonna do this. And then it's funny to see like Dane go build that relationship with Mark. Like, we already had but really build the relationship with Mark to where it's evolved now. And that was just there for 2 years we could have done.
Yeah, for you and I to go out and buy deals, it makes a lot more sense for us to buy something that's already built. A lot less effort. We can put our name on a bunch of buildings, and we don't really have to think that much. We just have to go, oh, we got to raise the rents. Oh, we got a heavy turn. Oh, this one's bleeding. Like, it's not rocket science. When you go to build something, you need some brainiacs behind that.
And 2 years ago you could have, but it wasn't the right timing, and it wouldn't have happened the same way.
Correct. And that's kind of like with our partnership and how we got to Deal Junkies with Mike is a similar way. As we saw Mike, started building the relationship over time, found like we want to have these conversations, help these people do all these things, which led us to here.
It's a funny story how you met Mike, because you recognized Mike.
Yeah, because I loved real estate, so I knew the real estate celebrities, and Mike's a rock star, dude. I
diet celebrity, diet famous is what my kids say.
Trevor's a fanboy.
I'm a fan, yeah.
And so he was a fan of Mike Nuss. You see him sitting outside downtown Salem having coffee, and you actually recognized him.
We were driving by and recognized Mike, and we were like, we got to stop and go talk to him.
That's Mike Nuss.
Pulled over?
We pulled over, yeah, and we ran out and went over to talk to Mike. And, yeah.
So that's got to be flattering for you.
Fuck
a couple
yeah,
guys hop out of their car and go, you're Mike Nuss.
It is, and it's not anything I ever strived for. And I still kind of, but no,
interesting how you added value to their lives and you didn't even know.
Not even had any clue that these kids in my hometown actually looked up to me. Yeah, dude, it's funny. It's a really cool statement or a really cool moment. And then months later, we're meeting, we're crying in the coffee shop, and it's, well, you guys are you're gonna impact this community, my community that I moved away from, and it's just, that's how the beauty of things evolve. And then even on that last episode that just dropped this past day, we started talking about how even this can now potentially get into another partnership where I'm a co-GP raising capital for your deals. And it's just, right? It's just the evolution of relationships and experience and the value, and then putting those pieces together to create a bigger puzzle. Mm-hmm. And then adding puzzles to other puzzles to create masterpieces.
Hey guys, this is Trevor. Do you want to join the Vesta team? Because we're hiring right now. We're looking for a real estate broker in the Portland area who is investment focused. So if you have a real estate license and you own 2 or more rentals, or if you just own 2 or more rentals and want to join the team, there's a link in the description where you can learn more and apply. Check it out.
What better way to get to know each other than spend 2 hours in a studio?
I know.
That's an interesting one. Mike and I had never known each other until this year when we started doing this, and we became friends.
We had lunch that one time.
Yeah, just one time. Yeah,
one time. We had one lunch, and then one lunch, one SRE meeting.
Yep.
And then the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a connector.
You're a connector. You're an integrator.
High-level integrator.
High-level.
So I had an idea for the podcast of something I want to run by you guys. So I thought it would be cool to have like a community, like how you have the Boom page in Facebook, a thing like that for Deal Junkies, where people can talk about deals and we can give input on deals. Do you think that'd be of value?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Community. We're trying to build community. I mean, what we're doing right here on this podcast is we're offering a free education. We're giving back the value that we this is putting our money where our mouth is. We say you got to give value. We do this for free. Nobody pays us to do this.
So this is just a free like Facebook group community that we're going to add value to.
Yeah,
I have a whole thing for
you.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Set up a Deal Junkies page.
Yeah.
The community can go in and say, hey, I need help with this deal, or I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for money,
or just talking through deals because that's my favorite thing too. Yeah, so I wanted to think about what would make it cool where someone would actually use it and actually go into it.
Yeah.
But also I don't want to just make it and do it for nothing.
Right. Deal Junkies.
Not for nothing, I mean, but I don't want to go put in effort to not have.
What I love about that idea is the same thing like what we've done at SMI is we've built a community. So I might have been the initial draw for people to come to SMI. Now people come because they have this whole network of brokers. There's so many brilliant minds in the group that you get to ask a question, and there's usually I'm not the one answering the question. There's somebody else on the team that has an answer for that. I think that there's a lot of power in that, in collaboration and in finding a community that you can join. Where, I mean, even the people that come to the meetups, right? Investor Lab and SRE, they come into those rooms because they're like, yeah, it's cool to listen to somebody talk about what they built and get some new ideas and get inspired. But then afterwards, just networking with the people in the room to meet your future partner, to meet your future lender, to meet an investor for one of your deals. Like, those people are in those rooms.
That is very true too, because a lot of the people I've met at these meetups I was going to before we had our own, like I've ended up doing business or deals with too. So like just randomly, you'll meet one random person. You have no idea what anyone's doing in those rooms until you ask too.
Yeah. Oh, dude. That's the funniest thing. I don't ask people that question. I'll talk to people who are doing amazing things and have no clue they're doing it because we're just relationally having fun on something like golf or surfing, just something stupid. But it's like, oh, you love that? I love that. You walk barefoot? I walk barefoot. Stupid shit. And then it's like, it's funny.
Oh, also for Salem Real Estate Meetup, we have the 2-year mark coming up in January.
Yeah.
So I was thinking for this one, we do like a mastermind style of it. So like kind of like the Maui Mastermind, but where you do it in the small groups and you do the question asking thing to help people narrow the hot seat.
A hot seat
Do you
session?
like that idea for it?
Hot seats are I think the hot seat is the best thing for an individual.
They sit in the hot seat and get asked questions?
So you'll have essentially like a group of 5 or 6, and for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the amount of time is, everyone's cannot give that person advice. They can only ask questions to help them think through like this one problem or thing they're trying to solve or their goals. And now you have all these other people thinking about it in a different way, but probing you to think about it in a different way because they're not telling you, they're asking you. And it was one of the craziest things. Like, I thought it was kind of cheesy when they first explained it, and then we did it in Maui, and I was like,
that out of all the the two Maui masterminds that I've been to with amazing people, the most amazing experiences came out of the hot seats. I remember, Kyle's going to love this, Kyle Wilson from the Drunk Real Estate crying after a one seat. And this is a professional hockey player, very masculine dude, crying after a one seat or a hot seat because he was asked questions and framed in a way that people have never asked him before. And he answered questions to himself in a way that he never answered before. And he learned himself in a way that he never learned himself before.
Pulled it out of him.
Pulled him out of it. And that's what a hot seat does, is the power of people pulling something out of you that you do not know exists.
So I'm trying to plan something like that for a 2-year, like something that's a little different than what we normally do. You like that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
So an SRE mastermind for the 2-year anniversary and a Deal Junkies community page where we can talk about deals.
I have a couple thoughts on that I'll share with you, but
okay. Cool. Ultimately, the goal is for us, we want to do more deals. We want our listeners to do more deals. We want everybody to.
Well, we want to have
want
more fun, and that comes from doing deals.
We think.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
I mean,
we might be wrong about that, but that's what we think.
We're going to have a midlife crisis at some point, 3/4 life crisis, because we're past our midlife crisis.
It's going to be a whole nother episode, is how many deals are too many deals.
Oh, we have that.
That'll be
a topic.
That'll be one
mental
of
health.
One of our episodes will be about mental health.
I feel like every episode's about me.
That's how it's supposed to feel.
It is.
It is about you, Mike. So, what's this episode? What are we on right now? Oh, we're talking about partnerships.
How partnerships are evolved over time.
So, talk about a little bit about how you think that, like, somebody that's looking to get into partnership, maybe somebody needs to ask themselves, do they really want to be a partner or not? I think there are people who are natural partners, and there are people who are not natural partners. And so you want to be really careful with this. Partners are fun. It's just like getting into a bad relationship or a good relationship. Like, you can pick the wrong people to be partners with. And so some of the things that you can do to avoid some of the brain damage that comes from partnerships is really to sit down and make sure, rather than just like, oh, we've got a deal, we could do it, and you want to do it and I want to do it, that's not a really great reason to be partners. A really great reason to be partners is, maybe we're aligned in our goals. We want to buy to flip, or we want to buy to hold, or we're 5-year people, we're 7-year people, 10-year people, whatever. Like, we have a similar holding pattern. We're trying to build freedom, whether that's financial freedom, time freedom. We're trying to build cash flow, or maybe we're not trying to build cash flow. We're trying to leverage into deals, or we're trying to build equity. Like, to make sure, to me, like, people are infinitely unique, and I think real estate deals are also infinitely unique. And to try to piece that puzzle together of, are these the right people to do this type of deal in this type of deal structure? And if you line all those things up the right way, it's magic. And you will make so much money, and you will hopefully do more deals in a similar partnership structure like that again down the road. I mean, those partnerships evolve. Some of them just evolve into nothing, because for me, I had really amazing partnerships that I started with that turned out to be, we weren't in court suing each other. We love each other still to this day. But our goals changed over time. And some of my partners were older than me, and this might happen with Trevor and me, right? Like, where they get to a certain age, they've built something, they'll become a little more conservative. They're not cowboys anymore. They want to back off and protect what they have rather than try to grow. And so they don't like a deal that I like, or they don't like an asset type that I like. And so, for whatever reason, sometimes it just doesn't work. But if you set out like we've done, Trevor and I, with Mark and Dane, where we built a partnership before we ever even went and did a deal, and we said, this is, and I've been partnered with all these guys in different partnerships, but then we decide, okay, we want to build a company that's going to go in perpetuity, and this is going to be something that runs for decades, and this is what we want to try to accomplish. It's cool because now we look at some deals, and there are deals that I normally would just go, of course we're going to do that deal, and they'll go, nope, that's not our deal. That's not the deal we should do, because it doesn't serve the purpose of what we're trying to do to build this company that's going to last long term. So there are some partnerships, I guess what I'm getting at, that just are going to be for one deal. There are some that might turn into 3 to 5 deals, but then there are other partnerships. If you're going to be partners and you're going to actually form a company that's going to be, operating in perpetuity, you really got to make sure that you know these people really well. It's not a new person you just met. These are people you've done other deals with. You've been partner with them before. You know they can write a check. These are things, you know their character. You know that when the shit hits the fan, they're going to answer the phone. You want people that can help you solve a problem when you have a problem.
I think sometimes too you have to go through those one-off partnerships to go and find the long-term partners, because you have to gain the skills and see what's going on too.
It's the reason you go date women before you marry one, right?
Yeah, it's dipping your toe in the water first.
You haven't found the right one. Are you single?
Yeah.
Can I announce it? Trevor's single. I think Trevor's probably.
Hey, ladies.
Mike, are you single?
I am.
What is going on here? Dane and I are not single, but we got 2 of the most eligible bachelors in the Willamette Valley sitting in this studio right now. I don't know, ladies. I don't know what you're doing.
Avery, can you cut this part out?
These guys. Somebody's gonna win the lottery when they marry one of these guys.
Or it's going to be the most stressful time you've ever had.
You got to put up with some crazy antics.
No woman wants to live with me.
It's extreme.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think there's somebody out there, Mike.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe not for Trevor, though. You got to find a woman that really likes androids.
Man, we got to stop making that joke, because now Chad takes it. That's Chad's favorite joke.
What?
Chad Montgomery, you need some new jokes other than calling me Trevor GPT.
Oh, that's just your nickname.
No, I know. He just.
That's a compliment.
No, I'm not offended
We don't even
by
have
it,
to go to AI.
but you're
We just come to you.
All right.
That's the part of the partnership you bring.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here.
All
All right. So we've evolved.
Yes.
We've evolved over
partners.
time, and we will continue to keep evolving.
All right. Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks for listening, guys. We're the Deal Junkies. We'll see you next time.